The ocean that morning looked peaceful, almost serene, like a painted illusion of calm. But beneath that vast surface something was coming. Captain Adam had seen more than his fair share of surprises at sea over the decades, but nothing quite like what was about to unfold. He stood at the helm of the container ship, his eyes scanning the shimmering horizon, one hand adjusting the controls, the other resting near the radar screen. He didn't know it yet, but within the next hour, he and his crew would be tested in a way few ever are. The radar blinked steadily, showing a few blips far in the distance, just fishing boats, he assumed. Probably local Somali fishermen. He'd seen dozens like them in these waters before, and most times they went about their business, casting nets, hauling in catches, and waving as ships passed by. But something about the movement of those vessels made the hairs on Adam's arms rise. They weren't drifting or casting nets. They were moving in unison fast, deliberate, too purposeful for fishing boats. A voice crackled over the ship's intercom. It was Adam's own, firm and commanding. All hands on deck. Prepare for possible threat. Repeat, prepare for threat. The air on board shifted instantly, like a storm had rolled in, invisible but heavy. Men and women snapped to their positions, trained and ready but unsure of what exactly they were facing. The sun continued to rise, casting golden streaks across the sea. On any other day, it would have been beautiful. Today, it felt like the light was being swallowed by something darker. Adam's eyes narrowed as the boats came closer. Through the binoculars, he could see the men aboard were armed AK-47s glinting under the sunlight. They weren't fishermen. These were pirates. His superiors had told him this route was safe. That pirate attacks in these waters were rare, now nearly a thing of the past. They'd been wrong. Adam's fingers danced across the control panel. He wasn't going down without a fight. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, he ordered. The engines roared, and the massive ship groaned as it changed direction. It wasn't built for speed, but under Adam's seasoned hand, it moved with surprising agility. He instructed his team to shift cargo weight, something only a captain who truly understood his vessel could think of on the fly. Every adjustment gave them a sliver more control, a bit more grace. The pirate boats split, one approaching from the starboard side, the other flanking port. Adam anticipated them, swerving sharply to create massive wakes. The waves slammed into the smaller boats, forcing them to slow down and regain balance. But then, without warning, there was a thud, a sound no captain wants to hear. The ship trembled under the impact. Adam's stomach dropped. He hadn't seen the third boat. From the shadows, it had crept up and latched onto the vessel's side. Within seconds, armed men were climbing aboard. He'd been outmaneuvered. The realization stung, but there was no time for regret. The lives of his crew were in danger, and Adam wasn't going to give up. He knew he had a choice: surrender and hope the pirates wouldn't harm anyone, or take a risk and outsmart them. His instincts leaned toward the latter. Surrendering might save the cargo, but not necessarily the lives. As the chaos escalated, a plan began to form in his mind. A strange calm settled over him. If the pirates wanted this ship, they'd get more than they bargained for. He grabbed the intercom and spoke with clarity. All crew, head to the cafeteria. Lock it behind you. Do not engage the intruders. He paused. This isn't over. The crew obeyed swiftly. Within minutes, the ship's upper decks were eerily empty. Then, Adam did something unexpected. He shut off the engines. The ship slowed to a drift, rolling gently with the ocean's will. To any outsider, it looked like a vessel abandoned, leaderless. It was exactly what Adam wanted them to think. The pirates, 5 in total, stepped aboard cautiously. They were armed with old rifles, disorganized but clearly experienced. This wasn't their first hijacking, but what they didn't realize was how little they actually knew about this shipper, the captain at its helm. Their leader, a tall man with a thick beard and cold eyes named Errol, motioned for his men to split up and search the ship. His plan was simple: find something valuable and get out fast. He didn't want to deal with hostages, but he wasn't above it, if necessary. They didn't know that Captain Adam was watching their every move from the control room. With the surveillance system active and the crew safely locked away, Adam radioed his 2 most trusted officers. He gave them a brief, precise plan. We'll handle the pair on the upper deck first, then the rest. As the pirates split into 2 teams, 2 searching the front cargo area and 3 scouring the crew quarters, Adam saw his opening. He coordinated with his officers to set up a trap in the lower cargo hold. They made it look like a small group had been hiding their sounds of faint movement, strategically placed lights, and a few intentionally dropped tools. The bait was irresistible. The 2 pirates, younger and clearly less experienced, crept toward the sound. Their eyes darted around nervously, their fingers tightening on their weapon. Inside the crate, they saw what they thought was a miracle: dozens of brand-new smartphones stacked neatly, just waiting to be taken. "Jackpot," one of them whispered. Above them, hidden behind the towering metal containers, Adam and 2 crew members watched silently. They waited until the 2 pirates stepped inside. Then slam! The crate doors locked shut. A reinforced trap sprung with flawless timing. The 2 pirates were trapped. No one injured, no shots fired, just steel and strategy. Adam's team quickly secured the crate and disabled any communications the pirates might have had on them. No word would reach the rest of their group. Now, with 3 pirates still aboard and no clue what had happened to their teammates, the next phase began. Back in the control room, Adam reviewed the footage. Errol and his men were now moving more cautiously. The silence of the ship was beginning to unnerve them, and Adam knew that silence was his ally. Errol moved through the ship like a predator, but even he couldn't ignore the unsettling emptiness. No crew, no resistance, no noise except the gentle lapping of the waves against the hull and the occasional creak of the ship's steel frame. His instincts screamed that something was wrong. 2 of his men had vanished, no gunfire, no trace. It felt like they'd walked into a void. "Stay sharp," he barked. His remaining men gripped their weapons tighter, the bravado from earlier slipping away. The corridors felt longer. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision. Every turn of a hallway now seemed like a potential ambush. In the control room, Adam was watching. Every movement, every step, every glance of uncertainty, it was all there on the monitors. He had them where he wanted them, but he also knew that Errol was dangerous. This man wasn't just a thug. He was a tactician, and cornered tacticians were the most unpredictable of all. Adam gathered his crew again in a small mess hall. "We've got the advantage," he said quietly, "but we can't get cocky. We take this slow. No one gets hurt if we keep our heads." He radioed the Coast Guard once more, updating them on the situation. Help was still hours away. He couldn't afford to wait that long. Adam made a decision. He would confront Errol directly. His officers protested. "You can't go alone, Captain." "I have to," he said. "If he senses we're afraid, we lose everything. I can't let that happen, but I won't be reckless." He equipped himself with a stun gun, handcuffs, and a tracker. No firearms, no bloodshed. Just resolve. Moving stealthily through the corridors, he found Errol and his men rifling through locked storage rooms. The pirates were growing increasingly erratic. They shouted into empty rooms, fired into ceilings out of frustration. They thought they were the predators. But in truth, they were being hunted. Then Adam appeared, calm, alone, unarmed. "Looking for something?" he said. The pirates jumped, raising their rifles. But Adam didn't flinch. He stepped into the light, hands slightly raised, but posture firm. "I can lead you to what you want," he offered. "Jewelry, electronics, everything. But only if you lower your weapons." Errol's eyes narrowed. He wasn't used to men like this cool under pressure. Adam's presence made him uneasy. Still, the temptation of treasure was strong. Errol gave a nod. The weapons remained pointed, but they followed Adam. He led them through a twisting path of cargo containers. At a junction, he tapped a button on his concealed wrist tracker. A silent signal went out. The crew, hidden throughout the area, prepared to move. They arrived at a stacked crate marked "Electronics, Fragile." Adam stopped and turned. "It's all in there," he said. "You'll need both hands to open it." Errol barked for his men to check it. 2 moved forward eagerly, greed clouding their judgment. At that moment, Adam struck. He pushed a disguised lever on the floor. The deck beneath Errol gave way not far, just enough. Errol stumbled backward into a padded recess, dazed and temporarily trapped. From the shadows, Adam's crew swarmed the remaining pirates. The stun guns cracked, and the pirates collapsed in seconds. No bullets fired, no lives. Lost. Adam stood over Errol, who groaned and tried to reach for his weapon. The captain shook his head. "You're done." They secured the remaining pirates, binding their hands and locking them in the secured brig room. Then Adam swept the ship again, inspecting every inch to be sure no one else had boarded. Hours passed, and then on the horizon a familiar shape emerged. The Coast Guard. Relief rippled across the crew like a wave. They greeted the officers with tired smiles and grateful eyes. One by one, the pirates were handed over, including Errol, who never said a word.